We just never know what we're going to walk up to. We don't know what's going on in people's minds.
An officer is in the hospital and a man is dead after a shootout in Springville. Hear from police what they say happened before the exchange of gunfire.
The storms lining up, one right after the other. Currently seeing rain in the valley, snow in the mountains, but are these storms cold enough that will drop that snow to the valley floors? I'll let you know.
My mom has lived here for 50 years and she said she's never seen the freeway shut off.
Talk about a different kind of traffic jam. Dozens of elk moved from one place to another, shutting down I-80. Why state wildlife officials had to do it. And the dream is going strong for the University of Utah women's basketball team. We have reaction from the team after tonight's big win as they advance to the Sweet 16.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Amy Nay. An officer in the hospital and another man is dead tonight after an early morning shootout near a farm in Springville. Police initially thought that they were checking on a car crash when shots were fired. Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser gets us up to speed on this developing story.
The quiet fields of Springville became the scene of an investigation Sunday as the Utah County Critical Incident Team looks into the death of a local man.
It's not something that we look to do. That's not what we wake up in the morning, put our uniform on to come out to the streets and think, well, this is what I want to do in life. That's not what we are, who we are.
At 5 a.m., two neighbors near 1500 West and 150 North called police when they heard multiple gunshots. Officers searched around for an hour or so and came across a single car accident right by a farm.
We just never know what we're going to walk up to. We don't know what's going on in people's minds.
It's a sharp turn from 1000 North onto 1200 West, especially if you're speeding. You can still see the marks on the barriers from when the car first struck this and then came to a stop a few yards away.
When he pulled up to check on the welfare of the driver and or passengers, whoever might be in the vehicle, as the officer stepped out of the vehicle, a male individual opened fire on him.
There was an exchange of gunfire and one officer was shot in the leg. The driver died at the scene.
We have no idea why. We don't know the motive. We have no idea what his reasoning was.
Springville police have not released the name or the age of the victim. They say they had no previous interactions with him and that he lived in the city.
Our hearts do go out to the family because we know it's not going to be easy for them, and we do hope for their comfort.
In Springville, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you, Emily. And this was not the only officer-involved shooting this weekend. On Friday night, Taylorsville police shot a man who was experiencing a mental health crisis at his friend's house, expressing suicidal thoughts. Police say when officers arrived, 35-year-old Alex Boren was holding a knife and a pair of scissors, destroying property and cutting himself. At last check, Boren was still in critical condition. Two officers are now on administrative leave from this incident. Remember, if you are a loved one or ever thinking about taking your life, there is help out there. It is just a phone call away. You can call 988 and talk to somebody about it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Turning now to more local news, and a motorcyclist was sent to the hospital in serious condition after he was hit by a car in Salt Lake City today. It happened just after 3 p.m. near 4th South and State Street. That crash made for a few delays for nearby Trax lines while police investigated. New tonight, a 16-year-old student at Spanish Fork High is dead after another student in critical condition in the hospital. All of this from a crash near the Little Sahara Recreation Area. The Juab County Sheriff's Office says a pickup truck carrying 4 teenage boys just before 11 a.m. Saturday rolled off the road on Weiss Highway. The Sheriff's Office says the driver was going too fast around a turn. The driver was wearing a seatbelt, but the other 3 passengers were not. A spokesperson for the Nebo School District says they're deeply saddened by this tragic news and add that Spanish Fork High School will have a crisis counseling team available to assist any student, teacher, or staff member. In Park City, a 16-year-old girl in critical condition after a sledding accident overnight. Firefighters say it happened shortly before 1 a.m. near Stag Lodge at Deer Valley. Crews say when they arrived, the girl was stuck in a tree well. She was there after the resort had closed. The teen flown to the hospital where she remains tonight. And also in Park City, a civil trial will begin this week on Tuesday against actress Gwyneth Paltrow. She is accused of severely injuring a man in a skiing accident at Deer Valley Resort back in 2016. 76-year-old Terry Sanderson claims Paltrow rammed him from behind, knocking him out and resulting in permanent traumatic brain injury, 4 broken ribs, pain, suffering, and loss of enjoyment of life. Paltrow filed a counterclaim alleging that Sanderson hit her from behind. She said she did not hear or see the man approach and had been skiing carefully and slowly to stay behind her children. This weekend, a jury found Talon Kessler, one of the 4 people accused of sparking the Halfway Hill fire last July, not guilty for abandoning a fire. The fire torched more than 11,000 acres near Fillmore last summer. The other 3 remaining suspects have already struck plea deals to charges of leaving a fire unattended. Well, this is not something you see every day. Dozens of elk relocated, causing I-80 to be closed for a couple of hours this morning. You see them kind of streaming along as they were being rounded up a bit. The Division of Wildlife Resources, Utah Highway Patrol, and other agencies all collaborating to try to make this happen. Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule spoke with DWR about this rare spectacle.
It's pretty majestic.
Brenda is a Tanner Park enthusiast. She's been watching dozens of elk find a food oasis at the Salt Lake Country Club for weeks now.
Through our front window and in between trees, they've just been camping out and enjoying the grass over there as much as they can with all this snow.
She was one of many onlookers watching the elk be relocated from the country club to the mountains.
Heartbreaking to watch them because I've been worried that they're going to cross into traffic and get hit, so it's really nice we could have this planned event to get them safely up the mountain.
We had about 80 head of elk on the Salt Lake Country Club golf course. They've been hanging out there for a month and a half or so. We had nowhere to push them.
Scott Root works for the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. He says watching a high traffic area come to a standstill for wildlife is rare.
Having to shut down Interstate 80 and Foothill Boulevard, and that's serious because there's people that may need to get somewhere really fast.
My mom has lived here for 50 years and she said she's never seen the freeway shut off.
Root and Brenda say even with another storm moving in, they're hopeful this is the end of the I-80 elk saga.
But elk are pretty hardy. They can do pretty well in snow, and we're hoping they'll stay up there.
I hope people are being careful and certainly just leaving them alone and just letting them be so that they can hopefully make their way up the mountain.
In Salt Lake City, Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In southern Utah, meantime, firefighters in Cedar City battled a fire at GAF Building Materials off Highway 56 this afternoon. Crews say a pile of material on the side of the building caught fire, and that sent a large plume of smoke into the air. Firefighters quickly knocked this one down over a few hours. Nobody was hurt. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. We'll take a look at this new video into our newsroom of a slot canyon rescue in Sanpete County. DPS says 4 hikers went into a canyon too late in the day yesterday, and by 3 a.m. they had not made it out yet. First responders say they were cold, wet, and were not prepared to be out in the elements for an extended period of time. They add it took every foot of cable that they had to extract all 4 hikers today. The snow is coming down on I-15 in Beaver. We were getting a much clearer picture of this. Now it's turned dark.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Change the lighting in there.
Right on cue.
Right.
This is a live look at that snowfall. Just like Breck said it would, it's starting down in the south and moving its way up toward us in the northern part of the state. Breck, tell us about this latest storm you're tracking.
Well, active weather storm pushing through. We're seeing that snow really take shape and form, particularly as we go Beaver northward as you go through Fort and then pushing up through Nephi. We're seeing the snow showers even towards Bryce Canyon. So southern Utah getting into the mix. Now earlier on we had some rain, St. George over towards Zion. It looks like Kanab as well. Again, that's pushing towards the northeast. The focus really has been turning further north. Once you get north of Cedar City, you can look at that blue in Beaver, spanning over towards Panguitch, areas such as Bryan Head getting into the mix. Now here across northern Utah, the focus has been mainly looking towards the west, Tooele County, Box Elder County. You're seeing that darker green. Rain showers falling at this hour. I've been looking at our Oquirrh Mountain camera though. Snow falling over the Oquirrh Mountains is beginning to fill in a little bit here as we look at the Wasatch Mountains, but that storm on its move, it's filling in, and overnight will keep the showers going. Now temperatures, where we're seeing temperatures well above freezing, we get the precipitation as rain, but Delta down through Cedar City because it's colder. That's why we're seeing the snow falling right now. Winds not too bad. There's some spots though we're finding some stronger winds, particularly across southwestern, western Utah, where winds will be a little bit of a factor here for the next couple of hours. We've got winter storm warnings in effect for the mountains. We'll talk about how much we're expecting. But let's get you through tonight where, rain coming into play, meaning that we're waking up to some wet roads for your Monday morning commute. How long does this storm last? We'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Bragg. All right, last year, the University of Utah women's basketball team fell just short in the second round of the NCAA tournament. And exactly 1 year later, the Utes got the round 2 win. Fox 13 sports reporter Andrea Urban joining us from the Huntsman Center with more on the historic win. Exciting tonight there, Andrea.
Oh my gosh, Amy, it is so exciting. So not only are the University of Utah women's basketball team undefeated at home, 2-seed Utah topping 10-seed Princeton 63-56, but these ladies met their goal of making it to the Sweet 16, and it's only the third time in school history to do so.
Pretty excited. I mean, that was our goal. I don't want to be too excited like, oh, we don't deserve to be here, but it was a grind. Princeton's a great team. The guards, the posts that were going at it, and it was a grind the whole game. To come out and just tick that box of making it to the Sweet 16 is pretty sweet.
Our kind of focus this whole March has been that every possession matters. I think we're kind of getting a little bit losing our focus there, and she's just like, hey, we're only guaranteed 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. Like, leave it all in the court, not have any regrets.
This group is super special, and I've known that since the beginning. So just being here right now, it kind of takes a second to take it all in, but just really like sitting and seeing how far we've come is really awesome, and I can't wait to keep playing.
We don't lose at home. I think we were undefeated all year. That just capped it off our last home game, so the atmosphere and everyone getting around is pretty cool. Salt Lake's really come out and shown support for women's basketball.
LSU's next on the clock. How are you feeling about that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the SEC, right? I haven't watched much of them or any of them really, but I hear things here and there. So I'm excited. They definitely play a different style of basketball than us, so it's going to be an interesting matchup, but bring it on.
When we've been on the road in Pac-12, we watched a few of their games. They're an exciting team, and I think we're pretty excited about that matchup. So we're excited to get out of here. I know we won't have our home advantage, but still, we're in the Sweet 16, so anything can happen. So we're really excited.
The Utes have an empty banner with a circle in their practice facility, and today that circle is filled with a Sweet 16 appearance. Next, Utah heads to South Carolina to face 3-seed LSU, and the 2-seed Utes are ready more than ever before. Live from the Huntsman Center, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 News, Utah.
President Donald Trump's campaign calls possible charges against him political persecution. I'm Nate Foy in New York. Up next, who's coming to Trump's defense and what Democrats are saying ahead of his expected arrest.
And as we continue to celebrate Women's History Month, we're going to talk to one local entrepreneur who's really made a name for herself in the salsa business. More on that when we return. So glad to have you here tonight. I'm Amy Nay. In national headlines, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle weigh in on the news of a potential indictment on the horizon for former President Donald Trump. Fox's correspondent Nate Foy has that story.
Various Republicans are rallying behind former President Donald Trump as he awaits possible charges from the Manhattan DA's office. Former Vice President Mike Pence, who may challenge Trump in the Republican primary, is again coming to the defense of his former boss.
The fact that the Manhattan DA thinks that indicting President Trump is his top priority, I think, just tells you everything you need to know about the radical left in this country. It just feels like a politically charged prosecution here.
Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's investigation surrounds a $130,000 hush money payment to porn star Stormy Daniels in 2016. Bragg is expected to use Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen to prove Trump falsified business records and paid Daniels off to improve his 2016 campaign. Legal experts say it will be a tough case to prove.
It is, in most instances, under New York state law, a misdemeanor. It can only be a felony if the falsification, from what we've heard, this is about falsification of records. That can only be a felony if the records are falsified to conceal another felony.
The former president posted on Truth Social that he believes President Joe Biden is pressuring DA Bragg. Some Republicans in Congress agree.
You know why they're doing this? Because they're afraid of Trump. That's why they're doing it.
Democrats in Congress maintain all that matters is whether or not Trump committed a crime.
I think it's very important for the Manhattan DA to look into this thoroughly.
No one is above the law, not even the former president of the United States.
Former President Trump believes he'll be arrested this Tuesday, but he plans to keep campaigning no matter what happens. In New York, Nate Foy, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In honor of Women's History Month, we're celebrating female entrepreneurs here in Utah and self-made salsa queen who started making salsa out of her home in Magna years ago. Now, her brand of fresh and freeze-dried salsas are available in grocery stores and specialty markets all across the country. She was featured on Fox 13 News Live at 5 earlier this evening and shared these tips with other women or anybody who's trying to start their own business. First, she says find a mentor. Then test your product or service early on before making a major investment. Set reasonable expectations and let them grow over time. And she says you'll need support. Make sure that your partner is on board with your idea. She also said make sure to do something you know and love.
I wanted to do something that spoke my language, my culture, something that I felt passionate about it, that I felt like I could sell. So I decided salsa it was.
Salsa Queen is featured in a directory of 400 women-owned businesses here in Utah, compiled by the Women's Business Center of Utah. You can find her on social media and learn more about her story and products at salsaqueen.com. I love highlighting women who are doing amazing things in our communities. Gosh, and doing such good work out there. Okay. We are also highlighting the weather because you are going to have to deal with it. It was a gorgeous weekend, but we shouldn't be lulled into a false sense of confidence.
Not this year.
Oh, winter isn't done with us, even though it turns officially into spring tomorrow. It's here already.
And what we get in spring in Utah is everything.
A little bit of everything. Snow, apparently, because we were seeing a little snow come down there in southern Utah.
Yeah, we mentioned Beaver, that snow falling at a nice pace there. Boy, it's causing all kinds of problems for traveling along I-15 here in the overnight hours. Kind of a rain-snow mix as we're seeing currently. We showed you that traffic camera up in Box Elder County, just northwest of Tremont. That's definitely a spot where we're seeing those wet conditions. As showers will begin to fill in here across northern Utah in the overnight hours. Right now, we go outside. View from a mountain camera. Just a few minutes ago, we had a few flurries where that's definitely a possibility, where we'll be keeping most of the snow falling across the mountains of northern Utah and rain in the valleys. But you get north of Ogden, definitely could see some snow there. So some issues for your Monday morning commute, as the biggest issues will be across portions of central and southern Utah along I-15 between Nephi all the way down through Cedar City. Temperatures, though, as you see, well above freezing. So we do get the precipitation. It will be rain here along the Wasatch Front. Snow levels getting down to about 6,500 feet there. Now, what are we expecting? Looks like several storm waves moving through the region here over the next few days. Tonight, the showers do begin here across northern Utah. We're already seeing that impact as we've been highlighting here through central and southern Utah. Significant mountain snow. Yeah, we have a winter storm warning that we need to talk about, but everyone's getting into the mix. You're going to see either rain or snow as we start off on your Monday. But I mentioned the winter storm warning in place from the National Weather Service, as this will be in effect until Tuesday morning, incorporating the northern, central, southern mountains as well. How much snow are we talking about? Well, let's kind of outline here. Northern mountains, so as we talk extreme northern Utah, 10 to 20 inches. Wasatch Mountains, 1 to 2 feet of snow. Central Mountains, kind of in that same range. You know, Bryan Head, some of those other ski resorts like Eagle Point, definitely liking this storm. It's going to be a little bit more heavy and wet snow. It's going to be packing in that moisture. And we've got a few days of this type of weather on tap. Well, as we take a look across southern Utah, we've seen that transition, colder air moving through. So that green changing over into blue. Again, we're seeing that snow impact Beaver over towards Bryce Canyon and moving further northward. Here across northern Utah, most of the showers have stayed west, but they will kind of start spilling in here along the Wasatch Front. But as you can see, the majority of that color, it's green. So it's rain here in the overnight hours. North of Ogden, though, it's a little bit colder, as we'll see potentially maybe some snow showers there. It's more light precipitation, though, here across northern Utah. So we're waking up to wet roads a little slushy through the canyons. That's the issue there. But these storms will be lining up and pushing in, as we'll be seeing this atmospheric river still in place, pushing through California and then streamlining towards the state. All right, let's look at the computer models here, where we show tonight through tomorrow morning. The focus then turning here across northern Utah with those showers into the early morning hours, especially north as we look in Weber, Davis County up through Cache County. But really that canyon travel will be an issue. Then once we get past the morning commute, we're okay until the early afternoon. Then we see another wave pushing through southern Utah. Cold front tracking in. This will start producing maybe potentially some isolated thunderstorms. So your afternoon commute looks to be really wet. And then the snow falling there as we look for the mountains for tomorrow night. Tuesday morning, we're waking up. We're okay, but quickly, once we reach the lunch hour, our next wave coming in, initially hitting southern Utah, then pushing northward as we move through the day. So we'll keep it going on and off again. And again, it's really from Monday into Tuesday. We'll keep the rain in the valley, snow in the mountains, but thereafter it gets colder and we potentially could see some snow for the valley floors heading into Wednesday and Thursday. Here are your temperatures for overnight. It's going to be wet here. Again, we'll have some wet roads starting off on your Monday morning commute, but snow-packed roads through central Utah, so be cautious out there. Highs tomorrow, colder. We're still above freezing. We're in the 40s here along the Wasatch Front. Many locations in the low to mid 40s and 50s in St. George, where you've got the rain, potential for isolated thunderstorms through Tuesday, then more rain on Wednesday. We'll keep it going up until Thursday. Then it's 50s and looks to be dry for the weekend. Northern Utah, here we go. Rain, mixture of rain and snow on Tuesday into Wednesday. And then snow showers on and off through Saturday. So this is winter weather. This is definitely not feeling more like spring, but we'll keep building that snow up in the mountains. We'll be back right after the break.
Another weekend and another big budget sequel hitting movie theaters. So how'd the latest do? David Daniel has early estimates for the top 5 films at the box office.
You're an interesting man.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made $4.1 million for 5th place and a domestic total of $206 million. 65, the only non-sequel in the top 5, took 4th place on ticket sales of $5.8 million. Creed 3 spent its 3rd round in theaters in 3rd place, earning $15.4 million.
This isn't like any other Ghostface.
After one weekend on top, Scream 6 fell to 2nd, but made $17.5 million for a 10-day domestic total of $76 million.
The wizard gave me superpowers. And then everybody got superpowers.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods opened with $30.5 million, far less than the $53.5 million debut of the 2019 original, but easily enough to top the chart. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Still ahead, it's a trend that's slowly spreading across the country. We are talking about arresting those experiencing homelessness. Scripps News recently went back and visited the state. They started the trend. Find out what has changed there next. And the days of simply getting down on bended knee are done for. We're going to show you the business behind proposal consulting. We'll be right back. Tonight's Two Americas report takes a look at homelessness. It's a side of America that more than 300,000 know all too well, and a side of America the rest may know nothing about. During the latest point-in-time count, more than 3,500 Utahns were experiencing homelessness on one given night. Last year's count showed that for the prior year, more than 7,700 Utahns were experiencing homelessness for the very first time. Last July, Matt Pearl took us to a state that made homelessness a felony. He went back to that state recently, and what he found may surprise you.
It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
In a few minutes, I'll ask Amanda Kent that same question, how are you doing? And receive a much different answer. The last time and the first time I saw her, she wasn't alone.
Yeah.
She was chatting with 3 friends. All 4 were without homes, staying at the same city-sanctioned, nonprofit-led campground in Chattanooga, Tennessee. At the time, the camp was a novel concept, a safe, legal solution for rising homelessness amidst a shortage of housing. 7 months later.
Yeah, we're waiting on Section 8 housing, and we're waiting on getting a voucher to get into the house, actually, and it's been taking a long time to get into it.
How long have you been on the list?
I've been on it since June of last year.
The number of homeless Chattanoogans and Americans continues to rise. the solutions from many governments continue to toughen.
Where people can go right now, there's very little to nothing.
Nikki Keck and Anne-Marie Fitzsimmons run the nonprofit that runs the camp.
Camps are not allowed on private property, which is every piece of property in this city.
When we came last summer, we didn't just cover the camp. We covered how Tennessee had become the first state in America to make camping on public property a felony. In the months since, states and cities have continued to propose ways to address homelessness by punishing it. In Chattanooga,
they don't arrest them, but they make them move.
Yeah.
If more people are needing homes and there isn't anywhere for them to go other than this camp, and they're not allowed to camp outside of this camp, where do they go?
It's a good question. They hide, basically.
Even in safety, only a quarter who have entered this camp have found a home. That's how it broke with the group we met. Tom Benson messaged me weeks later to say he'd moved to a place in Florida.
All right, you guys hold down the fort.
Timothy Hill was forced to leave the camp after getting arrested.
Yeah.
Lee Shelton, nicknamed the mayor,
this is a temporary home,
had a stroke and is currently in the hospital. As for Amanda,
I'm come to find out I had cancer, and I'm stage 1, and now I'm going through fixing to have surgery.
She will fight ovarian cancer as she waits for a home.
Said that I could stay here as long as I needed to.
So back to that question.
How are you doing?
How am I doing? Taking it one step at a time. That's about the only thing I can do, and just to wait and give it into God's hands.
It's never just the lack of a roof. Those experiencing homelessness often face health problems, family problems, employment problems, problems too big to be punished away.
I see a lot of veterans around here. I see a lot of disabled people around here who are needing help. And when they get the help, I consider it a blessing.
Yeah. Even if that hasn't happened for you yet.
Yeah, even though it hasn't happened for me.
In Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'm Matt Pearl.
Well, with the cost of weddings dropping sharply during the height of the pandemic, those numbers are now on the rise again. And it's not just the wedding itself that's growing in cost. As Forrest Sanders explains, a new day is bringing new business.
You know, a wedding proposal could be a park bench, a beautiful spot, a little serenity, a little nature. But more and more, wedding proposals are a bit more than just this. Trends show wedding proposals today increasingly involve a destination, a musician, a beautiful venue, a photographer. Add all of this to the biggest cost, the ring, and site WedMatch says engagements alone are averaging at just under $8,000. So how does that happen? How do we end up with numbers like that? Well, I guess the answer is pretty obvious. If we go on to just Instagram alone, more than 6 million posts have tagged "She Said Yes." The word engagement's been tagged more than 25 million times. In fact, according to the site Wedding Wire, 90% of couples today will post about their engagement on social media. That's where Tamara Meyer comes in.
Everyone wants that wow. Everyone wants that story that they can tell everyone.
Tamara's with Nashville-based company Take My Hand Proposals.
This conversation is merely just to mentally prepare you. It's easier than we make it sound.
They're taking on these trends by doing wedding proposal consulting. So, Take My Hand Proposals handles the venue, the musician, the photographer, and the proposal plan. And the company's taking their wedding proposal focus a step further.
We take the stress out of love. We provide almost like a proposal kit. That is your marry me letters, that's your rose petals, candles. We also have like a TP kit.
Proposal consultants and proposal kits are something new. But Tamara says it's interesting to be part of the times leading to new business.
It's a one-stop shop. If you want something big to something small and intimate, it's very cool to be involved in one of the most memorable days of their lives.
In Nashville, I'm Forrest Sanders reporting.
Seniors with Alzheimer's is expected to double within the next 30 years. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with a story of one family's struggle coming up.
Well, after scoring 103 points in their first-round NCAA tournament game in the win over Gardner-Webb on Friday, the second-seed Utah women's basketball team played Princeton tonight in the second round. Alyssa Peely had another big game after putting up 33 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds in Game 1. Utes made just one three-pointer against Princeton, and this was it. Peely's three put the Utes up by 10 in the second quarter. She's a dominant force inside. How about this play? The crossover puts it up while going down and scores. Three-point play. The Utes built a 14-point lead. Third quarter, Peely gets it inside to Jenna Johnson. She powers up and in to put the Utes back up by 10. She finished with 15 points. But Princeton went on a 7-0 run, capped by this jumper from Caitlin Chen to cut the lead to just 2. The Utes extended that lead, though, in the fourth quarter inside to Peely. 2 more of her game-high 28 points. The Utes were back up by 6. Then a big play from Kennedy McQueen with the Utes up 2. She drives and scores, plus the foul. Three-point play. She finished with 9 points. The Utes held on to beat Princeton 63-56 to advance to the Sweet 16 for the third time in program history.
We're not done yet, and I think we could make a run even deeper in the tournament. So it means a lot just knowing that our hard work throughout the season is just paying off, and we're being recognized as one of the best teams in the country now that we've made it this far. We just got to keep proving.
Utah Valley played Colorado in the second round of the NIT. The Wolverines played tough. Trey Woodbury for 3. It's good. It was tied at 38 at the half. UVU played solid in the second half. Justin Harmon in the corner, good look for 3, and he hits it. Finished with 18 points. The Wolverines were up by 5. Then they got the steal, and Woodward takes it right to the rim. How about this? This guy can get up. He led the Wolverines with 25 points. He also had 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Here's one dish to Zid Bandago. The alley-oop jam, he had 12 points. Utah Valley won at 81-69 to advance to the Elite 8 of the NIT. College baseball, Utah took on Arizona State. Sun Devils up 6-0, but the Utes rallied. Dakota Duffalo, solo home run in the 5th inning, put the Utes on the scoreboard. Utah scored 4 runs in the 7th, 5 more in the 8th. Caden Kiernan single up the middle, brought in Elijah Hamill and TJ Clarkson. The Utes won it 11-6 to avoid a 3-game sweep. 23rd ranked Utah softball team rallied back against 17th ranked Arizona. Wildcats built a 7-1 lead, but the Utes fought back. Abby Dayton, a double that brought in Julia Jimenez and Sofia Yaquez, part of a 5-run 5th inning. Then tied at 11th in the 7th inning. Alyssa Bonstrom put the Utes up 2-run home run. That was the game winner. Utah won at 13-11 to take 2 of 3 in Arizona. Coming up tonight on the Fox 13 Sports page, we'll hear from the Jazz after last night's win over the Celtics, plus March Madness, BYU football as they continue spring practices, and we'll hear from some local NFL players as they move to new teams. So that should be exciting as well.
Got a lot to talk about.
Yeah. How about the Utah women? First time since 2006 they're in the Sweet 16, third time ever. So
it's going to be fun to watch them.
They have a tough matchup in the next round against third-ranked LSU. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, but they've got the team to do it.
Sure.
They're doing great.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, more coming up in Sports Page.
Water and electricity might actually mix when it comes to powering your boat. I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
And before we go to a break, let's take a look at the UDOT traffic camera. This is in Tooele County, Erda. The rain is falling. As temperatures are dropping, does it get cold enough, though, that we see that rain changing over into snow? We'll answer that after the break.
Welcome back. America's baby boomer generation is aging, and with more people over the age of 65, the population of Alzheimer's patients is expected to grow at an alarming rate. The disease carries a heavy emotional and economic burden on patients and their families. Fox's Madeline Rivera talked to one caregiver about how she's coping with it all.
I think the emotional toll is something that's been really hard on my family.
Megan Everangam moves through life at full speed, balancing work with hanging out with friends and family. But in 2016, she received news that brought time to a standstill.
My mom has Alzheimer's. She's young, 74, but she is in the advanced stages.
Her mother was diagnosed at 67 years old. Since then, she, her father, and her sister have become the primary caregivers.
The care providing sometimes takes on a life of its own, and you don't even realize what you're doing because you're doing it because you love your parents.
Everett Game's mom is one of more than 6 million people in the U.S. struggling with Alzheimer's, the most common cause of dementia. The Alzheimer's Association has alarming statistics, predicting that number could double by 2050.
People are living longer, and that's a major issue.
Besides the emotional impact, Alzheimer's and other dementias also carry a heavy financial toll, with healthcare costs expected to rise to nearly $1 trillion in less than 3 decades. And a shortage of healthcare workers makes treatment even more challenging.
We really need to get additional workforce trained and ready for all the people that will require care.
Everett Gam says caring for her mother can be stressful, but it's time she and her family are more than willing to give.
We would care for her the way she's cared for us for so long.
While there's no cure for Alzheimer's, there are some medications for treatment. The Alzheimer's Association is also urging Congress to press Medicare for early access to a new class of drugs that could slow the disease. In Washington, D.C., Malta Rivera, Fox 13 News.
In more Money Watch news, as electric vehicles become more popular and widespread, a Florida-based company wants to make fueling your boat as simple as plugging it into an outlet. What a concept, huh? Fox's Eben Brown shows us.
Electric cars are all the rage these days, led by brands such as Tesla and new investments from traditional auto manufacturers. And now a new company is hoping that trend will reach all the way to the water. But there's just one problem. You can't just take EV automotive technology and put it in a boat.
A boat is operating in a hydrodynamic state, which basically means it has to push a lot of water out of the way, which is less efficient than pushing air out of the way.
But the folks at Voltari have a solution. The company is unveiling the world's first fully electric performance boat. It's run entirely on batteries. There are 0 emissions, but that doesn't mean you have to worry about running out of power on the open sea. Voltari recently completed a 91-mile trip from Key Largo to the Bahamas, all on a single charge.
The biggest challenge was figuring out how we could get all of the lithium-ion battery packs integrated into a hull without having to sacrifice, usable boating space.
Ultimately, the hope is to create enough demand to shift the market to a new standard, which the company says is a win for boaters because they'll no longer have to line up to pay for fuel.
We work tirelessly to remove some of those things about boating that people aren't so excited about. It's not just electric boating, it's more fun boating.
The recently passed infrastructure bill contains $7 billion for EV charging stations. It's not clear if any would be on the water. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox 13 News.
Interesting to think about that new technology, but that video just made me want to go and hang out in Florida a little while.
I'm wanting to go boating here. I want to get out of this winter.
Hey, spring is tomorrow.
Officially, right?
But look what we're looking at.
Mother Nature has other plans. Yeah, we take a look once again at that UDOT traffic camera, Box Elder County. So this is northwest of Tremont. We've been seeing snow falling here from this. There we go.
There it is.
From the camera view, kind of when they change the angle or bring up the lights, it's highlighting.
You can really see it.
That's what we're seeing here. So extreme northern Utah, you've got snow. Most of the Wasatch Front, we're going to be dealing with some rain here in the overnight hours. So wet start to your Monday morning. Right now, it's dry though, downtown Salt Lake City. Not much of an impact here along the Wasatch Front as of yet. Temperatures well above freezing. That's why we're saying, once the precipitation does fill in across the Wasatch Front, it will be mainly rain north of Ogden. It could be a combination of some rain and snow, and definitely snow through the canyons, but it will be more wet, heavy snow. So that's going to pose a problem maybe with some slushy roads for your canyon travel come tomorrow morning through the early afternoon hours. Okay, here's what we're looking ahead. Salt Lake City, chances of precipitation through Monday. Little break Tuesday day, back in play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as we're going to be looking at some colder air moving in Wednesday through Thursday. That'll allow for a better chance of seeing more snow showers along the valley floors. Not seeing significant snow accumulations for the valleys, but snow will be more into play. And this means for the mountains, as we're talking, several inches, if not feet here. Again, trying to get up above that 700-inch mark for some of the ski resorts in the Cottonwood Canyons. That is definitely a possibility this week. Now, for St. George, you start off wet. It's rain, even some thunderstorms tomorrow and Tuesday through Wednesday. Then you start to see more of a break heading into the weekend. Yes, there'll be some clouds, but the kind of second half of the week will have more of a focus across northern and central Utah. Again, mentioning that winter storm warning that will be in effect for tonight through Tuesday morning. We're talking a lot of snow, kind of on a range between 1 to 2 feet of snow for the northern mountains. Let me just show you what the models are indicating, though, where this will be in play until Tuesday by 3 a.m. But I don't know if this is correct. I don't know if this is an outlier, but look at what the forecast is for Brian Head as we look over the next 48 hours. My goodness. 1 to 2 feet, I'm confident to say. Could we push it to 3 feet? Oh, they would love that for the ski resorts. They didn't even see that impact, and some decent snow even for Eagle Point. Okay, so we've got the showers across northern, central, and southern Utah right now. Southeastern Utah, you're just mainly seeing some clouds, but you'll get that push of those showers moving towards southeastern Utah come tomorrow. So right now the focus, though, as we speak of Brian Head, you're getting the snow currently and seeing that snow anywhere between Beaver up through Fillmore into Nephi. Here across northern Utah, the dominant color, as you can see, green, that darker green, that's where the showers are falling heavy. But once again, you're getting through Tremont, we're seeing more of that blue. Storms lining up, though. We keep it going. So as we start off your Monday morning, looking at your morning commute, the rain showers, kind of light rain. I don't see big issues, and I don't see that we'll have standing water on the roads here. So the only focus will be through some of the canyons, could see some slushy roads, and that will be the focus there. The snow plows will be busy up in the canyons and across extreme northern Utah. Highs tomorrow, colder. We're in the 40s. That's below average. We should be in the upper 50s. So we'll be finding afternoon highs 10, maybe upwards of 15 degrees below average. The shower threat throughout the state. We'll get a little bit of a break through the afternoon. We'll get going once again tomorrow night, and then we'll see a chance of some rain for St. George with some scatter, maybe even potential for some thunderstorms as a front moves in. Then Wednesday rain, as I mentioned, we kind of clear out. We'll see partly cloudy skies thereafter. Northern Utah, rain starting off, a mixture of rain and snow Tuesday and Wednesday. Some colder air coming in Thursday and Friday. That will drop snow levels. We'll see kind of a more wet snow focus for the valleys Thursday and Friday, but even some lingering snow showers into Saturday. And then we'll start pushing away. But the storms lining up for the first week of spring, and we're bringing snow back for the valleys. It's going to take a few days, but expect to see the rain in play for tomorrow. We'll be back right at the break.
All right, something fun for you here. Students from across the country and from the Utah School for the Deaf performed in a well-attended National Deaf Theater Festival event that was held this weekend. The Associate Superintendent of the Utah School for the Deaf says that many theater festivals are not accessible to students who are hard of hearing or deaf. And after realizing that many other festivals for acting were not suitable, the Utah Schools for the Deaf and Blind decided to create their own. The festival was offered both in person and virtually and is held annually. And they sent us these pictures of their successful event yesterday.
Kind of see that expression there, the body language, they're acting. Like you see sign language, right? When someone's doing some interpreting, they really get into it. Yeah. It's very entertaining.
You have a message for us? I know, because he does our forecast every weekend.
I'll say congratulations, good acting there.
Aw, thank you. And thank you so much for watching Fox 13 News at 9. We are so glad to have you here with us tonight. Be wary of the storm that's rolling in, especially for that morning commute.
Yeah, it's going to be wet roads, so be cautious, and canyon travel will be tough.
All right, and stay tuned. We've got Quick Cast coming up next, followed by the sports page.